The first episode introduced us to the kind of place the Federation was, a police state with only the barest veneer of being something else, whose leadership was willing to murder helpless people en masse, and equally willing to put horrible memories into the minds of children. Blake has left that world behind on a prison ship bound for Cygnus Alpha, which, given that the next episode is called Cygnus Alpha, means that things are probably not going to go well today. Meanwhile, for the crew, it's just another day at the office.
I thought maintenance was supposed to have fixed that ID shift vibration.
That's what they said.
Yeah, well, that's what they always say. They don't bother. Nobody bothers anymore.
My world and welcome to it. From the beginning, the episode is shot from the point of view of the crew as opposed to Blake. The routine minutiae of all this, the view of the prisoners is just another cargo and treated with the same indifference, except for one detail.
Sir?
There's a female prisoner on our manifest.
I'd noticed that, sir.
Yes, well, be discreet.
Okay, wait, do you mean discreet as in show good judgment, or discreet as in don't let people find out about my wanton sexual harassment? Never mind, I'll act the same no matter what you mean. I'm afraid the captain is stuck with the off-brand version of Commander Riker, Sub-Commander Raker, which he announces when he visits the prisoners, along with the fact that he's the ship's sadist and thus in charge of handling them for the trip. That's the way these prison ships work, you know. Naturally, Blake is singled out since he's in the restraining system for pretending that he didn't hear an order.
Well, made quite a name for yourself a few years back. Quite the celebrity. Something of a come-down for a leader of men, isn't it? Molesting kids.
Yeah, it's definitely his James Bond to Highlander 2 plummet. After he spends a little time bullying Blake, it's time to move on to round 2. Make the moves on the girl prisoner. He starts by playing the good cop. If Jenna finds things a bit unpleasant, being the only woman amongst a mob of male prisoners, well, he can make things much more comfortable for her. Your breath could melt a candle, dickhead. He responds as you'd expect. Well, on the bright side, you only have 8 more months to deal with this guy.
That one's going to enjoy giving us a hard time.
And you've improved his mood no end. Why couldn't you be nice to him?
Hey, there's no stopping you from taking one for the team, Villa. The guy doing his best to blend in is Avon, but when he overhears Blake and Villa discussing the door locks, he quickly, and with barely a distraction from what he's doing, explains that it's a palm print reader, so only the crew can open the doors. He's the computer genius.
He came close to stealing 5 million credits out of the Federation banking system.
What went wrong?
I relied on other people.
Novice mistake. Unfortunately for them, Villa decides to share a rumor that he's heard, that the prison ships save money by only going part way to Cygnus Alpha, then dumping the cargo into space, the cargo being the prisoners, and then they just change the records to say that they already went there. Of course, changing the records is pretty complicated. It would require a master like Avon to do, a guy with an overdeveloped sense of self-interest and not looking forward to spending the rest of his life on planet Hell. So nice job putting the idea in his head, everyone. Of course, Avon probably already thought of that, just like Blake is already working out what to do once they've taken over the ship. His plans are usually of that formula. We're about to be executed, followed by, where can we buy condoms for when we meet hot ladies during our escape, followed by a middle part of trying to find a line that connects those 2 points somehow. Riker arrives on the bridge while they're in the midst of some kind of turbulence. Bad news. Perhaps it will help if you put that top-heavy pot of coffee right above the instrument panel. Looks like they've stumbled across a battle between 2 groups, neither of which are Federation. This provides a distraction for most of the crew. For the rest, there's Villa and his kitty magic trick act. Boy, if this goes on too long, he might have to resort to the got-your-nose distraction. But Blake's recon reveals that the ship can be hijacked if they have just one important element, Avon. They can get him into the room with the computer, but they have to convince him to do it first.
Offering you the chance of freedom.
Generous, considering mine will be the most important job.
As you can see, the person most capable of seeing through Blake's speeches is Avon, which makes him a complicated ally, considering the aforementioned self-interest. If he could have sold out the rest of them and been assured that the crew wouldn't murder him, he'd do it. Avon is that cold-blooded. But while they're working to bring him around, the ship's getting all banged up. It's just what I thought. It's not a ship, it's just a Twinkie!
Ceiling tower. If the outer hull gets punctured, this stuff floods into the section and blocks it up. It goes solid in seconds.
then you might want to get that stuff off your hands pretty quick. But with whatever's causing this going on, the crew will be distracted, so now's the best time to move. There are access shafts that run along the ship, and one of them is in the rec room. The ship has been converted over, so it looks like somebody screwed up. Still hard to believe that nobody else has thought to try this, though. With 8 months, it's not like you've got anything better to do around here. Now, it was mentioned that the food is drugged to keep them docile, but then that doesn't explain why these 6 are lucid. Unless they're skipping meals, which means we plan to hold an uprising while starving. No wonder Avon is cynical when it comes to this plan. That cynicism is confirmed when Avon shows up, only to discover that the room isn't empty. With the delay in action, Villa is volunteered to go check up on Avon, but Villa's afraid of confined spaces. And open spaces. Just about everything, actually.
I'll go. Well, let me do it. I haven't done anything yet.
I'm quite prepared to go. It's just, I didn't want to let anyone down because of my, complaint.
All right, let's get him in there.
Yes, this is a highly dangerous mission. Let's send in what's-his-name here. It's Novus. Or no, I don't want to get attached. Yep, while Avon's beating up the technician, the guy sent in after him is trapped when the hull is penetrated and then gets encased in the foam. Well, at least you don't have to worry about dying from vacuum. You'll just be smothered. That's an entirely different form of asphyxiation. Well, in any rebellion, you are going to lose a few, so let's just get back to Avon. He's shutting down the cameras, but he gets jumped before he can get to the doors, leaving the rest to attack the one guard while he's distracted and swipe the gun he has, too. Yeah, this place really could use some security overhauls. Like adding some security, basically. At least the guard puts up a fight.
Look, we only need the hand. If you want to stay attached to it, do as you're told.
That man is quite persuasive. With Gan the Giant to lead the way, they make for the armory, only to stumble across Raker for a firefight. Thanks to Avon, Blake and Jenna are holed up in the computer room with him, where they effectively control the ship. The only thing they don't control are the people. That's bad, because that means giving Villa a gun, and Villain is the worst rebel you are ever going to find.
Stay right there, and we'll kill them. Drop your guns.
Well, misunderstandings happen. Live and learn. Except for the dead guy, of course. This move, incidentally, single-handedly undid the entire plan. And it won't be the last time. Villa's too useful to be considered the Neelix of the group, but he probably needs someone to smack some good sense into him. So while Blake has control of the computer, they have no allies outside this room. In fact, their comrades' numbers are dwindling.
Some of our men have been injured, sir.
And the prisoners?
We've killed 6.
6?
7.
If you're going to nitpick every single guy I killed, jeez. Things are pretty bad. Blake won't release control of the ship unless they surrender. And there's trouble with whatever's going on out there, so the captain's feeling the pressure. He finally lets Raker do whatever he feels is necessary to get Blake out. And we soon discover what that is. He has the prisoners all gathered and will execute one every 30 seconds until Blake surrenders. Keep in mind that his plan all hinges on a convicted child molester valuing the lives of others more than his own freedom. Just realize how effed up this Raker is. This plan only works because Blake is indeed an innocent man who values human life. But that doesn't matter to Raker, who shoots another prisoner after Blake has already surrendered for literally no reason whatsoever. The whole thing seems to have let him off his moral reins or something, as he punches the helpless Blake in the gut after taunting him, and then decides that Jenna is going to be his post-killing spree dessert. Yay! Thankfully, the captain finally tells him to knock his psychopathic shit off, and in private tells him that wanted murder wasn't exactly what he had in mind. I mean, you can solve a lot of problems with murder, but it's generally assumed that you're not going to. Billy can't be allowed to fail math. Well, not to worry, I have my revolver here if necessary. Blake's sick over all the pointless deaths, but Avon misunderstands.
So you should. What a fiasco. You could take over the ship, you said, if I did my bit. Well, I did my bit, and what happened? Your troops bumble around looking for someone to surrender to, and when they've succeeded, you follow suit.
And it should be noted that Avon's only in this predicament because of Blake. Blake talked him into it, and Blake's the one who chose to surrender.
It was my fault.
We know.
And Avon's not a graceful loser. Keep in mind he's only on this ship because he relied on other people. Now he's relied on other people again, held up his end, and is locked in confinement. It's not doing a whole lot to boost his team spirit. Meanwhile, the ship's fully repaired, only to come across a nice surprise, launching the second part of the episode. In fact, it's so different that I'll admit that I actually remembered it as being a distinct episode, but no, these two are actually one single episode. They stumbled across another ship, presumably one of the participants in that battle, unlike any ship they'd ever seen, even that yellow submarine. It's lifeless but completely undamaged, a mystery. But the captain and Raker quickly realized that if they brought it in, it'd be worth a fortune in salvage money. As you can see, they've spared no expense in equipping this team. They're either going to salvage the ship or make crystal meth in there. They get inside, but they start talking strangely, and then they scream and cut contact. Right in time for the second guy to go through, only to do the exact same thing. Much to Raker's shock, the captain is not going to keep sending wave after wave of his men in there to scream, vanish, and then run out of a crew. Even though there's all this money to be made, I mean, what's the guy's priority problem here? He finally suggests using Blake, Jenna, and Avon. After all, they have nothing to lose. Raker threatens summary execution for refusing, and the captain offers their freedom for success. Carrot and stick, although Raker's the kind of man to beat you with a carrot. One of the men comes running out of the airlock before they even leave, foaming at the mouth. The other two are already dead on the ship, which I guess is an amazing ship because Jenna and Avon are gushing over it. That's when they see something odd hovering at the front of the room. They're all drawn towards it by images of their loved ones. But Blake recognizes that it's not real. Ironically, probably because his mind has already been tampered with. So they've saved the ship for the captain and his murdering, raping first officer. Or, here's an idea, we could swipe it for ourselves. Raker seems to be on the same wavelength as that, and when they report that they're still alive, he comes over to check. So Blake heads over to shut the door and keep him out. And this time, keep the damn thing shut, Avon's probably thinking. Except Blake can't get the door shut, so Raker shoots him. Not very good consolation prize. But since this is television, apparently being shot in the shoulder just means that you can walk it off. And Raker, having failed to get his dessert with 2 S's, now gets his dessert with 1 S, and flies out into outer space once the ship pulls away. As Lenin is quoted to have said, "A single death is a tragedy, unless it's Raker, because really, fuck that guy." I'll be discussing this in its entirety at the end of Episode 3, Cygnus Alpha, the destination of both the prison ship and our brand new kick-ass ship, coming on Thursday. All hail the Overlord! All hail the Overlord!
Yes, that's where the heart of the Federation is. I intend to see that heart torn out.
I thought you were probably insane.